Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Coming Out with Liz and Eddie. I'm Liz Lyuth.
I'm Eddie Connor, and the title of this episode is about healing the good kid syndrome. And whether you know it or not, you have a good kid that lives inside of you that is looking to play in the light with your adult consciousness. And Liz and I will help you integrate that during this episode. Right, Liz?
Absolutely, Eddie. Welcome to the show. Eddie, today's show is all about mending the good kid syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is the good kid syndrome? This is a mystery to me, so...
From doing years and years of intuitive readings, I found a pattern that kept popping up, just like the big butt syndrome did. It's like when you talk about what you do want, but you talk about what you don't want at the same time, and you get a combination of it. And then from studying the subconscious mind and the conscious mind and the superconscious mind, what started to come through for a lot of people who are hardworking, who are good-hearted by nature, who, when they were growing up, they ended up developing and cultivating subconsciously first the good kid syndrome, which is, it doesn't matter how hard I work, my siblings get the cookie, but I don't. They don't have to do their chores, but I have to do my chores before I can get the good things that I want. And for a lot of other siblings, sometimes there's no consequences for their bad actions. But the good kid syndrome, the good kid in the household makes up for what the other siblings don't do. Thank you. They just also said often the good kid syndrome is the empathic, sensitive, intuitive, creative kid in the family. So they can sense what the parent needs. And usually they'll gravitate to one parent over the other one.
Oh, interesting.
So the bottom line is the good kid syndrome inside of an adult is the kid who believed and felt they did everything right and did everything by following the rules and the laws that the parents set within that household. But they didn't get their good back like some of the other kids did, either in the household or in the extended family.
So basically, they worked really hard at being a good child, regardless of what their siblings did. They tried to keep the peace in the house, a peacemaker.
Yes.
So that they did not get the reward. They did not get the love from their parents and the affection from their parents like their other siblings did. Regardless of what their other siblings did.
Yep.
They got the least.
Well, and also it's like more clear than ever that it's an unspoken thing. Like for me, personally, it is. I watched my birth dad and how sadistic he was, and even from the time I was just a little bitty kid, I would notice. I mean, I had no power.
Yeah,
I would pick up my mom's fear, her insecurity, her just desire to survive, her trying to protect me, despite the fact that she was getting beat up. And then I immediately started tuning in to when my dad was there or not there. I would tune into my mom. What does she need? Listen, I can remember being hungry and not crying. And I
remember those.
Yeah. I was the kid who, now, I mean, I cried sometimes if I finally got hurt or whatever, or if I'd hit my threshold.
Yeah.
The good kid is the kid who goes in and pulls everything off of the mom who's trying to survive and then takes it into their own energy field, whether they realize they're doing it or not. So Mama didn't have to tell me to wash the dishes. She didn't have to tell me to sweep the floor or to go out and slop the hogs or feed the chickens. I just did all of it because it kept the house running like a well-oiled machine. So in essence, part of what the good kid does is take it on intuitively, empathically, and sensitive, while also being cognitive and conscious of what needs to happen in order to please someone who might not be able to be pleased.
Not expecting to be pleased, but always hoping that you can please that person, knowing ultimately that you'll never get it.
Right.
And you carry that as a child. So you carry that on as an adult. and you're always constantly in your behavior, not knowing what you don't know.
Yes.
But you're constantly trying to please someone or something in order to get some sort of reward or payoff or something.
Or connection.
But you'll never get it.
Right.
You're just never going to get it.
You're not going to. And then the more you start to believe, feel, think, assess that you're never going to get it, you don't stop.
No.
Being the good kid, you become twice the good kid. And the next year you become triple the good kid. And the next year you become quadruple the good kid, because you're desperately looking for a connection, sometimes from someone who was never raised. Approval. I didn't care about approval. I wanted the hugs and kisses and I love yous.
Yeah, the affection.
And Mama wasn't raised that way. No. My dad wasn't raised that way. My stepfather wasn't raised that way. So I was seeking something that I was never going to get, but I didn't know
Didn't know what it was. You didn't even know what it was.
I knew that it was hugs and kisses and I love yous, but I thought I would get it. I can remember one time I was like 7 or 8 years old. Mm-hmm. And I was barefooted, because that's what you do in the South, y'all. You run around barefooted.
I think all kids run around barefoot.
Yeah. Well, I don't think in New York they do.
I don't know.
In Manhattan.
In New York, do they walk around barefoot, guys?
We're going to send our team out on the streets in New York. Okay. I can remember I was standing outside barefooted. Mama had come from work, so she wore her loafers.
Oh, yes.
Her dress loafers.
Uh-huh.
And I was backing up, and Mama didn't see me because I was doing something with the dog, and she stepped on my foot. And she was like doing what she does, and she stepped on my foot. She held my shoulder. She went, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Are you okay?"
Is she still stepping on your foot?
Yeah. All she did was step on my foot. And the tone in her voice, the frequency, the concern, the kindness, the touch, the sincerity, ding, 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 ding. So the good kid got a connection. Yeah. And then as soon as, I was fine. It didn't hurt. And then that was the end of the connection. But I was luckily old enough then to know, don't do dumb stuff to hurt yourself to get love. Yeah. I just, it was an organic thing. And I'll tell you what, man, this is crazy. Yeah. I just realized my whole life, in the South, you don't speak unless you're spoken to. Oh, yeah. You were to be seen and not heard, as you well know. You had that too. Had that too. And so you can still be the good kid, be invisible, work your ass off to get the connection you're never going to get, but keep doing the work to get the connection anyway. Mm-hmm. And then pine away and pray and hope, consciously and subconsciously, that you will one day get your hugs, your kisses, and your I love yous. Yeah. So when I was in the 5th grade, Mama went to the hospital for female surgery, they call it back home. Uh-huh. And she was gone for 2 or 3 days. So my stepdad was watching all 4 of us. And then Mama didn't come back home. So then I'm at school, elementary school. I'm in the 5th grade. Bobby's in the 4th grade. Terry's in the 2nd grade. And Doodlebug is being babysat by my grandma. Yeah. And out of nowhere, the principal comes over the PA system, over the entire elementary school, and says, Eddie Connor, Bobby Connor, Terry Connor, come to the principal's office. So for a good kid whose whole fear is authority figures.
Okay, I get that.
And the whole class is looking like, oh, what did you do? And now you can't be invisible. No. You just have to pretend whatever, and you're walking all the way to the principal's office. Then you see your brothers coming from the other parts of the school. And the principal's office was like a giant glass booth. And I can see my brothers, and we're all like, what's going on? What's going on? I just figured Bobby did something bad.
Well, you're probably looking at each other going like, what did you do?
Exactly.
What did you do?
And then when we rounded the corner of the principal's office, like a big giant aquarium, the secretary was there. I can't remember her name. I think it was Miss Olson. And the principal, who was like 6'4", with a crew cut haircut. Okay. And then there's my dad, my stepdad, standing there in full doctor's greens, completely covered, head to toe. All you can see is his eyes. And we walked in and he said, okay, go with your father. And then Dad didn't say anything to us all the way out. And we're like, what is going on?
Right.
And then he walked us out the front door. We went out. Then we saw the car sitting on the side of the school thing with the hazard lights on. And then he said, your mom has tuberculosis. She has to go away for 3 or 6 months. And she wouldn't let me take her to the sanitarium.
Oh, God.
Until she saw us. And we got to the car. She's covered. They thought she was highly contagious, so she had to stay covered. All you could see were her eyes.
Well, tuberculosis is highly contagious.
It was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
And he was telling us this, and we're like, what is tuberculosis? And what is a sanitarium? And he had no patience for it. And we go to the car. Mom's sitting in the car crying. And she told all of us she loved us. Mm-hmm. And she hugged us and kissed us. And then she left for 3 months. And so I got what I wanted, but not the way I thought I would get it.
Yeah.
And so it did a number on me. And that was in the 5th grade. So then I started associating I love yous and hugs and kisses with people leave.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it rewired that fast.
Totally.
And then I felt bad and guilty that I even wanted it, because if nobody else wants it in the household, why do I desire the need for connection?
Yeah.
So it was a hardwired mind. F you what?
What?
It's okay.
Okay.
So nobody expected to go that far out the deep end that fast. You're welcome.
Right. No, that's great. Because, okay, I could see that. You never told me about that before. So it's interesting that popped up.
Yeah, it's buried in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So the good kid syndrome, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Coming Out with Liz and Eddie. I'm Eddie Connor.
And I'm Liz Lyu.
And the title of the show is The Good Kid Syndrome. And what it's about is it's when you're growing up and you're a super sensitive kid, which is not supposed to be a good thing, especially if you're a boy in the 60s in the South. It's if you're a super sensitive kid, creative, artistic, empathic, connected, desiring a strong connection, and you're not getting that connection in the household, then you start cultivating this subconscious energy where you want this thing you're not getting, but you don't know how you're going to get it. And just quickly, every job I got growing up, I would always attract authority figures, usually women, that you could not please. And some men too, but it was mostly women because I had not processed that no-win situation.
Yeah.
So, and I was working hard, but not getting paid what everybody else was. I was winning awards left and right for a job well done and still not making what everybody else did.
Yeah.
And the other people could come in late, take extended lunches, screw the boss
They
in
had
the
a lot
back
of
room.
flexibility. Yeah.
There were never consequences for them. But if I had to ask to leave 30 minutes one day to go to the dentist before they closed after work, then I got screamed at. So it kept repeating and repeating and repeating. So the good kid syndrome is about identifying what it is that you started cultivating.
So you're identifying your pattern.
The subconscious patterns as a kid, and that you will carry into your adulthood until you become aware of it.
So you don't know what you don't know, but once you're aware of it, you acknowledge it, you can resolve it.
Yeah.
You can reframe it and make it positive for yourself. In my case, it was more male.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kept trying to, because I had 3 other siblings. So of course, you know, he would be raging, like a rageaholic.
Your dad.
My dad was like a rageaholic. And, you know, because he went through the Second World War. We suspect he had PTSD.
Yeah.
You know, but never diagnosed.
And that's an era when you don't talk about anything, especially to your kids.
Absolutely not. We never talk to him. It's like, don't speak unless you're spoken to. You know that. And then I remember having to just do I did everybody's chores. If they didn't want to do their chores, I did their chores. If they didn't want to do, no matter what it was, I did it from morning until night so that I could keep the peace. So I was the peacemaker.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they would fight, they would make a mess, but I would be the peacemaker. So as I got older, a lot of my bosses were men, authority figures. I excelled in a lot of things that I did, but in the end, I always hit that ceiling. I always hit that, other people took credit for my work, but it wasn't me. I never got the reward that I wanted because I wasn't able to acknowledge what was going on. So I was kind of a ghost. Like you disappear, right? You become the ghost.
You do. And the ghost wants to be seen, wants to be heard, and wants the connection. And at the same time, we don't want to be seen. We don't want attention, and we don't want the connection, because if the authority, the parent or the boss gives us attention for something, then it could innocently, by accident, which is why we play small, take away from somebody else who was doing a good job.
Okay.
So it perpetuates a no-win situation.
So I have a question for you. So let's say, yeah, you bring up a very good point. What if you did get it? So think back in your career when you did get attention. How did you respond initially? When you did get attention, you go, "Oh, Eddie, blah, 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 blah."
I was embarrassed.
Oh, okay.
I was embarrassed. Now,
did you try to push off that attention to somebody else?
Oh, always. I included everybody in the room.
Oh, I do the same thing.
And it's to blend in.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I consciously knew that those awards and accolades were well deserved.
Yes.
And that you were also never to receive them in a way where it could be interpreted as you deserved it.
How
no-win situation?
Well, it's the irrational thought. As we grow up, we develop these irrational thoughts. And regardless, unless they're aired out and
come into the light.
Yes, exactly. Unless it's aired out and you see it for what it is, an irrational thought, it's always there. It just can't go away. It's the irrational thought.
Yeah, and our show next week is going to talk in depth about aspects of this. But we're going back to childhood, because from conception to your 7th birthday, your brain is developing. You're a byproduct of the atmosphere you're born into and the behaviors of the parents and the other authority figures and the community that you grow up in, and there's a lot of irrational thoughts as your brain is developing. That's what we're talking about. Your conscious thinking mind, we're intelligent enough to know that if your boss comes in and slams the cabinets, that has nothing to do with you.
No.
But the inner child the subconscious inner child has to go and figure out a way to please that replacement mom or that replacement dad. And so 2 programs start to run simultaneously. The conscious, I'm not going to take this behavior they're displaying personally. And the subconscious, which is, oh Lord, be seen, not heard. How do I fix this thing that I didn't have anything to do with for that person, so that job runs like a well-oiled machine? It just keeps getting replaced year after year until you become aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can also look at it in my perspective, like the subpersonality. There's these little personalities that we develop as we grow up, and I don't want to say negative or positive, but it was created by us. And as we bring it to the light and we give it air, and that's why the irrational thought, once you do that, that subpersonality transforms itself into the positive aspect of itself. So yes.
Well, I think it gets bigger too. I think whatever the existing subpersonality is for that subject, because sometimes, listen, tell me if this feels right, because it just came to me. Okay. We have subpersonalities as adults. As adults, we have subpersonalities for every major area of our life: love, money, career, body image. Body image. Body image. Why are you looking at me? There's all kinds of sub personalities that are tied to the big pinnacle things in our lives that are the most important to us, right?
How we look at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, ourselves.
How we're perceived.
How we perceive ourselves. That's the key. How we perceive ourselves.
How we perceive ourselves consciously, subconsciously, and superconsciously. Superconsciously, we know we divine beings of light and we're perfect and healed, whole, and healthy in every way. Just ask our higher selves. It'll tell you. But our subconscious mind is like, bitch, please sit down, disappear, go back in the closet, close the door, drill that damn door closed, wear something cute, and don't eat no snacks because you'll get your ass beat if you do.
No snacks.
Okay.
No, Mentos especially.
Hey, you can't have Mentos.
I know I can't.
You can have Pintos. We had pinto bean sandwiches. We were so poor. Yeah, pinto bean sandwiches. Child, leftover Pintos before the salmonella kicks in. Throw some onions, some chow in there, put some mayonnaise in it, watch Grandma squash it up in her hands and put it on some old 3-day-old bread that they wouldn't eat as adults. And then, see, you wonder why I have a complex with my good kid syndrome. Child, please. My good kid couldn't cut nobody.
So what are we looking at today, Eddie?
So what we're looking at today is we're going to look at the existing outdated good kid programming, which we kind of leapt right into, just deep in first. We're going to identify what it is, and then we're going to identify how that program served us up until today.
Yeah, and then we're going to understand what the good kid syndrome is, and honoring that existing good kid syndrome. And then we're going to reprogram it and reframe and update that program into existence.
Sounds like a tall order. How you going to do that, Liz?
You know what, Eddie? With you, we can do anything.
Oh, girl, I'm feeling the love.
Okay.
From the waist down.
The good kid syndrome.
Well, you were going like that. I thought you were going with my flow. My hand is Polynesian.
Filipino.
Oh, okay. Sorry, but that looked like hula to me.
Okay. Isn't that Hawaiian? Whatever.
You can't be pretty and smart, Liz.
I love you.
I love you back. Harder.
Okay.
In 3D. So the first thing, we're going to look at the existing outdated good kid program. Now, all of us have it. It is tied to the subconscious mind. And just so you're aware, the conscious mind is what you're cognizant of. It's how you drive. It's how you walk and talk and do everything that you do. And it has very little to no power. The subconscious mind is the part of you that operates unconsciously. It has its own belief systems based on everything you've lived, everything you've seen, everything you were told. And it has its own sort of universal belief systems.
And also everything you accepted into your life.
Boom.
Right?
Yes. And it stops developing at 7 years old. So if you live to be 237 years old, ultimately you're operating off of the belief systems and feelings and attitudes and emotions of from birth to 7-year-old child.
So for 230 years, you're going to be operating according to your
100%,
right?
Unless you upgrade it. So the first thing, again, is looking at what the existing outdated good kid programming is. Mine was you're to be seen, not heard, speak when spoken to.
Yeah. And
don't you dare let me see you sit down. You better there better be no grass that grows under your feet.
That's right.
You are a worker bee.
Yep.
And you literally have
you brought up a good one, because I thought about that. I'm going, that's right. That's why I can't relax. It's because we were never allowed to relax, never allowed to sleep, never allowed to, unless we were allowed, we were told, okay, you can sleep between this time and this time. Otherwise,
you were told when you could relax. You were told when to sleep, but you weren't allowed to relax.
Never. Yeah. Because while we were supposed to be kids and children and playing, no.
Yep.
That didn't happen.
You never stopped working.
Yeah.
And because there's always some invisible force up there, usually some guy sitting on a cloud with a big old long white beard.
Yeah.
For a long time I thought it was Santa Claus, but evidently it was not. It was God.
It was Jesus.
Mm-hmm. According to Grandma, Southern Baptist Bible thumping, bless her heart, tried to do an exorcism on me in the 4th grade because I was homosexual. So looking
Edward.
it's true.
I know.
She did, child. She saw 2 demons on this shoulder and 1 on this shoulder. She went and got the Oral Roberts holy water and her pistol out of her purse.
She had a pistol in her purse.
She hung that thing on her over her headboard in her bedroom, honey. Little white pearl handled pistol. Oh, Grandma didn't play. Sally B did not play, honey.
What's her
She
name,
taught
Sally B?
Sally B. Because she be Christian. She be mean as hell. Now, I love my grandma now, but I couldn't stand her when I was growing up.
Oh, excuse me.
And I also thought she knew that too, and that's why she had a hotline to Jesus. So looking at existing outdated kid programming, evidently I got a shit ton I didn't know about. And so mine was be seen, not heard, speak when spoken to, and never let grass grow under your feet. And what was one of yours?
Mine was be quiet. Don't speak. That was a big one. Don't speak unless you're spoken to. Be quiet. If there's people in the house, be quiet. Go hide. Go hide. Be hidden. Disappear. You had to disappear.
The Hawaiians or Polynesians have a saying for American children. And the word is a Hawaiian word, a Polynesian word for zombie.
What is it?
I don't know.
Well, why'd you bring it up?
Because whenever the tourist would come to
Let's
Hawaii,
ask Google.
don't get me started on. I love what I do for a living. So, but they had a word for it that when the especially the white kids came from the United States to vacation, they had to be zombies. They couldn't have a spirit.
Oh, interesting.
They couldn't speak. They couldn't play. They couldn't act like kids.
Yeah. Well, no, we couldn't because our father, if we had said something incorrectly, not in the way he wanted, or not my mom. My mom was cool.
Yeah.
But my dad, if it was something he didn't like, he was in a bad mood, or we ate something incorrectly the way he didn't want us to, or anything like that, that was it. We were, beat the living daylights out of.
That's right.
And during those days, it wasn't, that's what they did.
They just sent, that's what they did. They send you ass outside.
Go get yourself
Mom, it's
a what?
107 degrees and the devil's riding horse is going to take me off into the mosquito patch.
Or go get yourself a switch. We had to do that too.
I know. Did you have to just get yours or did you have to break one for all of you? Because we had to break 4 switches, one for each of us.
Just for one of us. But then later on when we moved, he used a belt.
Well, you didn't get switches and belts?
No.
See, she had it good, y'all. I think you have appreciation amnesia, Liz.
We used to hide the belt.
Why would you do that? Who hid the belt?
Who hid it?
You did, didn't you?
I did.
And you were the peacekeeper and the pot stirrer at the same time?
No, it's just like, you try to hide it so if they can't find it, then they can't beat you, right?
That's not how it works.
I
They'll get an iron.
Okay, I'm just saying.
A hairbrush.
A hairbrush, a hanger.
Yeah.
What was it?
No more wire hangers. Don't ask the gay person that. We know who Joan Crawford is.
I was going to say.
And we know who Christina is too.
Okay.
So we've identified what the existing outdated good kid programming is. For me, it is be seen, not heard. Don't let grass grow under your feet and be invisible. Yours was?
Be invisible. And basically be a ghost.
And so
don't talk.
And so
be silent.
Can you do that now?
Edward.
And scene. I just see this image of you being the peacemaker and then hiding the belt.
I know.
That is a contradicted vibrational signal, also known as a contradiction.
It's called self-preservation.
Yeah, for you, the rest of your brothers and sisters probably got mad at you.
No, they didn't.
Good Lord have mercy. We're 30 minutes in and we only on number 3.
And number 3, okay.
So identify how it served me back in the time.
How did it serve you, Edward?
Survival.
Well, right. Self-preservation.
And you were hopefully, even though it didn't happen a lot. Here's the compliment I got over and over and over was you're just like your mom. You work just as hard as your mom. Now, I'm 5 years old slinging slop buckets and feeding chickens and out in the garden and doing all that. So that was the best thing you could ever say to me because I loved my mom so much.
Sure.
And I ended up...
And you wanted her to be safe.
Oh, of course. And so I mimicked her all the time I didn't mimic my dad or my stepdad, just my mom.
Yeah.
Because out of those three role models, that was the one that had the most light, and I was working to protect her light. So how it served me, the good kid syndrome growing up, was I survived it and I helped my mom survive it.
Yeah.
That's how it served me then. Yeah. How did it serve you then?
Well, interesting.
Hiding the belt and stuff, trying to play like she a peacekeeper and shit.
Well, yeah, you try to self-preserve yourself. I think that I felt if I did that, then I could save my family. I could save them. I could save my sisters and brothers from being hurt. Because I know that what would happen, so I would try to save them. Of course, it didn't work. They got something else. He had more than one belt. Hello. And then, but I want to say how it served me is that, well, I was never like my mother or my father.
Yeah.
Neither one of them. It was because I was a kind of an odd kid. I didn't talk a lot, but I did things that were different than both my parents.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I guess if I look back on it, if I was like my mother, she worked all the time with 4 kids.
It's probably her solace.
Yeah, she worked all the time. She worked constantly. She had two jobs, and then she started a business on the side. So it's like, in order to take care of us, she did all these things to help us, put us through school and get us a better life. So yeah, that one thing is I have emulated that. Constantly working.
And we're a byproduct of the positive aspects of both parents, and we're the negative aspects of both parents until we become aware of it and outgrow it. So the next thing is, now that we all understand what the Good Kid program actually is, now you can honor what the existing good program is. So how I honor mine today, and tell me if you do this too, is I understand that I was raised to be seen and not heard. It's an outdated program.
Yeah.
It works when I consciously and subconsciously ask it to work for me. I'm the authority. Yep. I'm the principal. Yep, I guide it in a way, and I speak to myself in a loving way now, better than I ever have, so that I identify it when it pops up and I'm trying to be invisible.
Yeah.
If you win an award or something, listen. It still pops up, and I'm almost 60.
Of course.
However, you have to continue to consciously, subconsciously integrate what the new program is. And then you have to have that conversation with the inner child, with the subconscious. Soothe it, love it, nurture it, connect to it the way that your mother wasn't raised to connect. Connect with it in a way your father and stepfather were not raised to connect with you. Yeah. So you are the voice of God. You're the voice of the universe, the light inside of your higher self. You integrate it all so that you bring it together and heal it, become aware of it, heal it, become aware of it, heal it, become aware of it.
I mean, that's the process.
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And so how do you reprogram your old program into the new program? How do you go from ghosting to visibility?
Similar to this, it's just that I feel that once you become aware of, let's say, the irrational thought, once you become aware what's driving you, what is making you, what is, I want to say, launching those behaviors, and you see it in action, again, I think you become the observer and you see it and you go, oh, you have that aha moment.
Yep.
And then once you have that aha moment, you just go, oh, so now that I'm aware of what I'm doing, you wake up, you awaken. They always talk about awakening. You wake up to what your actions are. Then as you're going through your day, you can see it when it starts to operate in you. And when it does, okay, right there, you stop. Takes just a few seconds. Doesn't have to take a long time. You acknowledge it, and then you can embrace it and reframe it for yourself and give it to yourself in a positive way. So you're doing all those things all at once. And all of this is happening in seconds. And
you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it till it sticks.
Exactly.
And it always feels good. So you just gave me an idea. Okay. I'm feeling all special right now.
Okay.
So
I do too, Edward. Because you made me feel special.
Okay, why are you whispering? Okay. So you said you have the aha moment.
Yeah.
So when you have the aha moment, you become aware and then aspire to the new program.
Absolutely. Well, you become it. It's not even, it's almost like when you say those words, I feel like there's like this thing that's going up. It's not that. It's always been there, but now you're seeing it. And the way that I look at it, you just become it. You become this, you become your real self, because this other thing was this irrationality or this dissonance that's in your energy. See, I know it's going like
She's
this.
sewing a quilt.
But it's like a dissonance. It's not fitting. So therefore, once you become aware of it, all of a sudden it becomes smooth. It becomes clear, and your energy just expands outwardly.
If you connect to it, be aware of it, and continue to elevate it.
Well, I think you're connected all the time. You're connected to all this energy all the time. And so therefore, as you're looking at it, you acknowledge the dissonance. You're acknowledging what's happening. You become aware of your pattern, and now you can reframe it, and you can give it to yourself in a positive manner. We're saying the same thing. So
I think because we have access to the connection at all times. Sometimes we, through our free will, and accidentally disconnect from it.
Well, we don't want to see it,
or we're not aware of it.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to see it. Sometimes you're literally not aware of this program that's been running you your whole life.
But once you are,
then
boom, you reframe it, you redo it, you give it to yourself. That energy is yours. You give it back to yourself. It's like the healing circle. Give it back to you in a more refined manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at you. What was your favorite part of the show today? I know what my favorite part was, seeing her as a peacemaker and stirring the pot at the same time. She's pointing at the hornet's nest, but she's secretly hitting it with a slingshot. And then she goes and hides the belt. Did she tell her daddy that her brother did the thing with the hornet's nest? That was my favorite part.
Actually,
what was your favorite part? I know you're a little troublemaker.
My favorite part of the show was just getting what the good kid syndrome is, being aware of it. Because, before we talked about doing all these shows, I wasn't really clear on this. And I'm going like, I wonder what that is. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Cool.
It's a great subject, Edward.
Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you for joining us. You've been watching Coming Out with Liz and Eddie. I'm Eddie Connor.
And I'm Liz Lyuk.
Today you have been healing the good kid syndrome, child. And don't you feel better? Because A, you know what it is. B, once it starts to rear its head, you embrace it in a loving, connectable way so that you can then, in that awareness, become aspiring to a better, high, more happier place to be. Don't you think?
I think so. And you can embrace that energy, bring it back to yourself, and be happy.
Yep.
I want to say happily, but happily ever after, or whatever that gives you, that happiness inside of you. That's what it gives.
And until we see you next week, remember to keep your thoughts, feelings, and frequencies high, fast, and pure so that you can unlock the universe within. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.